The Botswana National Ecosystem Assessment, BWNEA, is a Government of Botswana project aimed at evaluating available knowledge on drivers, impacts, and responses to change in biodiversity and ecosystem services to identify knowledge gaps. The project started in October 2022, led by the Department of Environmental Affairs in the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. Botswana University of Agriculture and Natural Resources is the designated implementing agency. The assessment covers status and trends, scenarios, valuation, and response options regarding the use and management of priority ecosystems. These include wetlands and aquatic ecosystems, forests and woodland ecosystems, grassland and shrubland ecosystems, agro-ecosystems, hill ecosystems, and desert ecosystems. The findings will signify the science policy interface in facilitating informed decision-making and multilateral environment agreement reporting, point to opportunities for value chain development for improved community livelihoods, promote traditional and local knowledge and sustainable use of biodiversity and ecosystem services. The Botswana National Ecosystem Assessment is part of the global NEA initiative of the United Nations Environment Programme World Conservation Monitoring Center, UNEP-WCMC, and supported through the Biodiversity and Ecosystem Network, BESNet, by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. The project is funded by the International Climate Initiative of the Federal Ministry of the Environment, Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety and Consumer Protection of the Federal Republic of Germany.
Project ya go dira ditshekatsheko lehatshe la Botswana lotlhe ka bophara ka ditsatlholego ka mehuta tsone ka go harologana ga tsone mo dintheng tsotlhe tsa lehatshe la Botswana re lebella gore ditsatlholego tse Batswana ba ka isetsa jang ka tsone ya go thodumela mo the scientific knowledge and then le the indigenous knowledge ra go tisa boitsanape bo bo harologanyeng gore re process ditsatlholego tse into products tse e leng gore Batswana ba ka benefita mo go tsone.
In as much as science gives us that scientific information about ecosystems, one missing link right there is that intimate knowledge of ecosystems that you can only get from communities who have lived, who have used these natural resources for millennia, for centuries. And therefore, what you want is to also integrate that local knowledge, that traditional knowledge, so that you can have a better understanding and appreciation of the cultural values of these natural resources.
Nestled in Palapye, Botswana, the Tswapong Hills reverberate with tradition and local knowledge on conservation and sustainable use of ecosystems. In August 2023, Botswana National Ecosystem Assessment Team organized community dialogues in Palapye to better comprehend the connections between local communities and their knowledge of nature. From nature, they acquire multiple goods and services, including herbal medicine and wild fruits. But how do these ecosystem services enrich their livelihoods and culture? Their culture, religion, and identities are intertwined with the surrounding ecosystems, especially the Tswapong Hills. The nature provides livelihoods, value chains, opportunities anchored and compatible with customary practices. Within the communities, there are distinct gender roles in both utilizing and safeguarding natural resources. As such, the assessment aims to be gender responsive. In Botswana, The hills are more than solely physical features. In some communities, they are spiritual fortresses and sacred with accounts of communal conservation. These customary practices are essential to local environmental governance. This assessment will evaluate how national policies conform to or negate these customary governance systems and suggest possible synergies. It's essential to pass on essential tradition and local knowledge, as well as useful practices to the younger generations to ensure biocultural sustainability.
Mo bananeng ba rona go tswa hano go a kopela re tshwanetse rona re le batsadi re hitsetse ngwe ya rona go go bone kana ditliso tsa tholego di dintsi di mehuta ga di mehuta yana go na le mmino go na le kapari entse le tsone tse di tswa mo tholegong mme mo gompiko yana ha o tsa itshorelo e kopanye e tswelelang go pele go ra gore batho ba ka ithusa ka ditliso tsa bone tsa tholego e le banana ba boa ba identify gape ka tsona.
The Tswapong Hill Ecosystem Community Dialogues brought together participants from Lecheng, Matlakola, Mukungwane, Khotau, Khosekgweng, Ratholo, Majwaneng, Lerala, Mokokwane, Maunatlala, Moremi, and Lesenepole. The communities enjoy nature's benefits ranging from plants, wild animals, veld products, water springs and gorges. These provide a range of services of cultural, spiritual, and aesthetic value, including food, water, medical plants, and herbs. Women are mainly involved in collecting and processing plant-based ecosystem goods and services which do not require much physical strength, while the animal-based goods are mainly done by the males. Most of the biodiversity and ecosystem services have great potential for value chain development, as participants indicated that they process them into products like juice, yogurt, body lotion, and oil. Cultural tourism has great potential for employment creation and local income generation, and the Khomoremi Gorge is a living example. The aquatic resources are mainly used for livestock watering. The water from these springs was in the past used for domestic consumption before the advent of village water reticulation. The participants decried proliferation of foreign cultures and lack of interest from young people as impediments to the intergenerational transfer of traditional and local knowledge. Some natural policies which regulate natural resource use were also seen not to be in tandem with traditional and local knowledge.
Re ithutile go le gontsi bile go re tisitse moko ka gore bogologolo ne go noa gone kwa batho ba motse ono ne ba ntse ha ka gore metsi na le teng ne ba nwa gone kwa mme bile ba kgona go dira le ditshingwana tsa merogo gone kwa go na le kereke tsa nna gone kwa mme mahelo ana ke dio tse leng gore re bona gore re thoka gore re di label e le re le motho a ile kwa kgona go ipalla itse gore go lo ha o no go dira gala eng mo nakong tsa bogologolo ta ithala go go ditshomelelo go dipampiri go dio tsothe kwa tse leng gore dikerese di a tshwibiwa kwa mme ke dio tse leng gore tota ga di keletso gore di ska tsa direlwa kwa yo yang gongwe a bata metsi a ya tse metsi a ba boa ya no dithuto tse di re bontshitse gore se ntse re sa akanya ya no re tie mo go sone re se diragatse se wele re dire yalo e le tsela ya go babalela le go somarela le totola rona le kana le rena le lone mo motseng. Mo bogologolo lentswe le bona lang ha le tonale le ne le seyo ha mo go tlhokagaleng ga kgosi seretse ba dumela gore lo le go gongwe go godimo le be le talent le nna gone ha ka le ha ke dingwa tsa dilo tse leng gore le ha gongwe di sa ka tsa tuma ya ka gongwe mo metseng e mengwe gore lentswe le ole gongwe be nna kganghela gore ba bo ba sa go tsenye le dio dingwe tse di ka lemogiwang di ne di le botlhokwa ebile di ka tutiwa mo ditsong.
Embarking from Palapye, delve into a tapestry of Botswana's lush natural wonders, rich cultural heritage, and a future intricately woven from the threads of its illustrious past.
These community dialogues that we just concluded today in the Tswapong area are just one way. We were just trying to pilot so that we can extend this to the other parts of the country. So we've had some great insights from the greater Palapye communities. They came from villages around the Tswapong Hills, and they have reflected on, or they have given us an insight of which ecosystems are around their area and the services that they enjoy from the ecosystems and how these ecosystems contribute to their livelihoods. And what we have also realized that most of the services that they get from the ecosystems, they also have a great potential for value chain development, because some of them, they can be developed into food, some of them can be developed into furniture and all of those. So they have great potential also for value chain development. They can contribute to communities in terms of not only for subsistence, but also for job creation, also for even at a larger scale where they can even export to other countries if they are supported adequately. They've also emphasized on the need to recognize traditional local knowledge, which is why we are here, because they feel that some of the science or the modern ways of doing things, they undermine their traditional local knowledge. So all these have to be in sync. If you are coming up with policies, for example, the policies also have to recognize the traditional knowledge that exists in that particular area. For example, if the permit system, that was what was coming out most of the time when we were discussing with the communities. So if they are given permits, for example, to harvest the mopane worm or to harvest the grass, at times you'll find that harvesters can be given permits only when the mopane worm is not ready. So they feel that there should be that link between the policymakers and the traditional leaders who are on the ground, who knows what exists at what particular time. So it was very insightful. We are looking forward to learn from other areas, because other areas will be looking at other ecosystems. Here we are centered on the hilly ecosystems. We were looking forward to learn what exists in the aquatic ecosystems, in the desert ecosystem, and other areas in Botswana. And then from here we are hoping that as the next steps, our scoping report will be approved, then we can start the actual assessment up to 2026.